and welcome to the We Like Softball podcast once again. I'm Payton alongside Crazy Shorts and one of our special guests today, Austin Ollar,
What up?
joining us.
Thanks for having me,
Well,
fellas. Appreciate you.
absolutely, man. Welcome on in, I guess, to the We Like Sports podcast, aka the We Like Softball podcast. Tuesdays, we end up doing this 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Make sure to listen on all podcasting platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher. That'll be out tomorrow morning, Wednesday at 8 a.m. Adam, I love your hat.
I
Thanks.
got him that hat.
Only for you, Austin. Only for you, bub.
I'll take a sip to that one, boys.
So how you
Already
doing?
interacting early on too. We got Daniel Thomas. There's
There
the
you go.
comment in there already.
That's my dude right there. That's my
Hey,
man.
he's a great dude. And honestly, how's everything been? I mean, it's been a week. If anybody ended up playing this past weekend, you got washed out at Victory Sports Park, and got Normal Palooza coming up this Saturday as well, paper roster tournament. Any of you guys getting in on that at all?
I believe that I'm going to be playing on that on Saturday for the men's side. I believe there's also a co-ed side. I haven't been picked up yet, so if anybody needs a guy for that, let me know.
No, I'm old and brittle. I need the weekend off.
That's my guy.
Hey, at least one of them has to end up keeping up the young legs out of the two of you, and just so
Yeah,
happens to be
I only
awesome.
got 7 toes, but they're still better than most people's 10. So
Uh, no, I got to save my weekend for the weekender.
there you go.
Ooh, the weekender coming up April 21st through 23rd, I believe.
Yeah,
21st that Friday, aka my birthday. Shout out to me.
come see us then.
Thank you.
Get you some drinks.
Ooh, if Wahoo's, I'm pretty sure we're in it, and that might be
Yeah.
the first weekender we end up actually. That's the first one I get to partake in too. So
It's always a good
time
time.
to tell. Availability should be good to go outside of a new job that's starting up soon. So things are looking good. Softball world looking better too, just because weather's getting better. We got nice weather ahead. Got a couple people that have been scrimmaging, and I know there's been a couple that's been talked about throughout the whole entire week with how nice it's been. But it's nice to actually see good weather on the horizon for softball after playing down in the rainy mojo weather last weekend, getting washed out.
Yeah, this weekend actually I put together a little scrimmage in under like 2-3 hours, Adam. We had like 20 people show up to the field and we all were able to get some work in there. So that was definitely a good time. That was just on I think Sunday afternoon or something like that.
Yeah, weather ended up being great. I mean, I was sketchy in the beginning, but it ended up being a wonderful time. I think we had more than 20 that came and gone.
Yeah.
At one point, there was, I think, 12 on
Oh,
12 with
oh,
people still coming and people going. There's other people that came to play that didn't even end up playing. They just came to watch.
That's the cool thing too, because I mean we've all been part of these scrimmages before too, all amongst each other too, and it's nice when you end up having people that even you could even go to the park workers even that just stop by and hang out and just watch some softball just because the joy that we end up bringing to the field and just having a good personality, it gives great awareness to the softball community too, and just people
100%.
to get intrigued again, which that's what you're looking for in sports.
Certainly. I'll take a sip of that.
And first question of the day, Dan ended up mentioning it. What's your guys' definition of great?
Um, Definition of great. For me, it far exceeds the average. Um, if you're talking great in softball, um, you gotta not only make a name for yourself, but withhold that name. And there's a few greats here in Ohio. I know we know quite a few of them. I'm not gonna call those guys who are at the C level or B level necessarily great yet, but I know quite a few damn good ball players. But John Williams, that's a guy that went from E all the way to conference in 1 year and has tore that conference apart. The dude's a great. I mean, overall, you just want to keep it real. Zach Messer is another great, similar thing to the conference, and Ike Willow. We got a lot of guys here in Ohio that, if you wanted to find great, they put in a lot of work in order to get where they're at. And I do admire some of those guys at the end of the day with the abilities they have by putting in the work to get where they want to be. So, definition of great, if you're talking about softball, check out those guys.
Absolutely. And Crazy Shorts, what are your thoughts on that definition of great? What does it take to end up being a great, I guess, would even be the better question, too, kind of where Austin was going with that.
I mean, I guess there could be different ways to look at it, many different definitions of great depending on how you look at things. I guess being great would be, my definition would be a way of mastering something, whether it's fielding, hitting, pitching, whatever it is. It's mastering. That's what makes you great, in my opinion on that. I mean, but if we're going on a team basis, that would be being well-rounded. That's what would separate a good team from a great team, is being totally well-rounded. Those guys that are committed, not those guys that just want to play for one weekend and go play with another team. Having your hitter step up when needed, having your pitcher do what he's supposed to do, not walk guys, just throw strikes, let your defense play.
Might I add that there are quite a few well-rounded teams this year that I have seen so far. Usually there's a couple teams you can say is going to run away with something, whether it's an E, D, or C. But I mean, even some of the new guys up in C are making some noise. There's some new D teams that are out there making some noise. And I've seen at the E level some teams really, really improve since last year even. So a lot of teams are getting better. So when it comes to being well-rounded, I think some teams have kind of figured that out. You can't just have that one or two guys that are going to run the show for you. You know, you need 7 to 10 of them. So in our case, we need 14 sometimes because we got a lot of old guys on our team. So those old guys can still play, but we need everybody, and it takes a team to be great at the end of the day. It takes everyone.
Hey, in Austin, you're not saying that you guys are just old just because the baldness, because I'm right there. I'm right there with you, and I'm younger.
Yes.
That hairline.
Was that my service?
Awesome.
Am I back? Am I good? My service good?
Yeah, everything's good.
You're here.
My bad.
Did you hear us now?
No, I agree with that. I also seen some comments, James. I was there. I seen it. Austin definitely owes you at least one good sticker. Austin owes you a sticker, sir.
I do.
No doubt.
What kind of sticker?
He knows. He knows. We like to keep it professional, but one day in person,
a picture.
If you don't know what a sticker is, you know.
Oh.
And also, Dan ended up saying, too, that, Adam, you're a great dancer, too, so I think we need some details on that before we end up actually getting things started here.
Adam, a.k.a. Crazy Shorts, a.k.a. the Dancing Demon, you know, I like to get out there and do the tornado out on the mound, you know, with no mask on. You know, what's the big deal? You know, like to Michael Jackson moonwalk on him, you know. But you gotta get the snap, you know. You can't. You gotta get the strikeout. You gotta get something. You can't just be out there dancing, you know. You at least gotta be making plays, you know.
Well, I mean, you could end up throwing the ball around like an MLB. You could end up throwing it around the horn, getting it back to Adam. You could end up getting everybody involved instead of having it have the Adam show, man. You know.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to get involved sometimes too.
More people should just dance, man. Dancing's good for the soul.
Maybe I'll start dancing at catcher.
Yeah. I mean, hey, next time I get a strikeout you're catching, you bust out the moonwalk, you know?
I got you, bro. 100%.
Maybe you end up just tagging them in halfway. Like, you kind of, like, meet in the middle, wrestling, tag them in. You can finish it at home plate. It's perfect. It's poetry in motion.
Oh, let's get it.
Right.
Also,
well,
I'm saying that Austin needs darker blinds, too. Because he can't see off his head.
Listen, man, I just moved into this place. I'm newly single. I have all kinds of new furniture, and yeah. So y'all see me.
Well, I mean, we're going to be running short on time with you, Austin. So, I mean, let's get into business here. Let's get this interview going. Let's get a history on you.
Okay.
Austin Ollar dances in the outfield with 7 of his toes. Oh god, Bond is on one right now. All right, so let's all right, let's back
Hey,
to business.
7
Let's
toes.
so Austin, let's go back to high school, Bob. Give us a rundown. Give the people a rundown on where the roots of softball started for you, Bob.
Well, I started in high school baseball. I played for Strongsville from 2000 to 2003. My senior year, kind of got in a little bit of trouble in school, so it kind of derailed a few of my options. But overall, I mean, I had a great high school career. I played 2 years on varsity out of my 3 years that I played. That was my sophomore year and my junior year. I pitched, I played shortstop, and I played some outfield. That has kind of transitioned into softball in the sense that I'm the kind of person that plays all over, I guess you'd say. I'm even learning to pitch lately.
Yeah, I mean, I could see you pitching out there.
I'll be
I've
dancing.
seen it enough times.
too.
It might have been at Oakwood Park, but it still counts.
Hey, I'll be a dancing demon too. You better watch it.
The bald-headed dancing demon. Watch out. All right, let's jump up, speed up things a little bit. Los Migos.
Okay. Yeah, Los Amigos was the first tournament team I actually ever got to play for. It's kind of funny how I got with a lot of those guys. A buddy of mine, Rick Zizak at the time, said that they needed a guy one night for league, and I didn't even know what league was. But when he said, "Do you got a glove?" and I was like, "Yeah, I'll go dig it out for you. I think it's in the garage somewhere, but it's from high school." And he's like, "No, I don't need it." He's like, "I need you to come up here and play. I need you to bring it up here." I'm like, "Dude, I haven't played baseball, and I mean, it had been like almost 10 years at that point." And he started laughing. He's like, "Dude, it's softball. It comes in underhand." He's like, "It's easy. Just come up and play." I'll be honest with you. I was definitely against it, but I had some free time. I went and gave it a try. Not on purpose. I got to keep it real. You guys know me. I've been making some plays. So sometimes I'm going to let you know. But this did not happen on purpose. It was definitely an accident. They had me in left field at a little park in Brook Park. There's a little fence. One of the fields has a smaller fence. And I was playing left field, and the guy hit one, and I'm running backwards. I'm backpedaling like an idiot in the outfield. I hadn't played ball in a long time. I'm backpedaling out there. Next thing you know, I throw my glove up, but I put my other hand up with it. And my bare hand was a little bit higher than my glove was. And I robbed this home run barehanded. And 90% of this team was Puerto Rican at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And they all started going crazy, dude. And I had no clue what they were saying, if they were excited or not, what was going on. But I get back into the infield. He goes, "Hey, man, these dudes are going to ask you to play tournament ball with them." And I didn't know anything about tournament ball at the time, so I kind of was going to blow it off. And after that day, I went out to the car, was getting ready to get in my truck, and the next thing you know, their coach, Wiso, Luis Rosa, appreciate you, brother, came over to me and let me know they needed an outfielder. I believe it was for a world tournament at the end of the year. It was the end of their season, and I had no clue what a world tournament was. I had no clue about softball, period. I'd played 2 games of league at that point. And they took me out there, man, treated me like family. At the time, this team was very well organized. We had a bus that they traveled in as a team.
That's all my next comment was, man, the fucking bus. That
Dude,
thing was so lit, man. Every team should have a bus. It should be mandatory. Every team should have a bus.
I agree, Adam, 100%.
Shout out to Los Migos, man. God, you guys used to make softball great again before it was already trying to be great again.
They made it great before it was great again. Yes, sir. But
God, man, that's how teams should do it, man. That's a team bonding, team chemistry, the whole 9. You can't get much better than having a flipping bus.
Yeah.
I mean, and I Fix Ugly, Timmy Gillespie and them boys, man. It was Myrtle Beach. They had that van. That
Yeah,
might as well been a bus. That's how you should do things, man. You
yeah.
can't get no closer than that, man.
And I will say, man, they definitely treated me like family that first day. They made me drop my car off at their house. We all met up in Cleveland. We got in the bus together. All of our stuff in the bus, family members in the bus. We rode down. They paid for hotels. We hung out. We kicked it. Long story short, that team went on to win a ring, and I wasn't there. And I kind of think that it came Sunday, and I wasn't there. And I kind of think that ring kind of haunted me for a little bit.
Because that would have been your first one.
Yeah, I think it kind of haunted me for quite a bit until last year. Last year, I was actually able to obtain 3 of them. One through co-ed, which was huge. Another through 35 and older with the Bad News Bears. Big shout out to them. That co-ed one was with the Dirty Boys and Dirty Girls teams that I ran. And then my third one even came with the Dirty Girls women's team. I was lucky enough to help coach them out in Florida. And, man, I will say they were smacking that weekend. So big shout out to the Dirty Boys, the Dirty Girls of the past. I appreciate and love and respect every one of you guys who have played for me. And then also big shout out to Bad News Bears, man. Those guys have taken me in like family. Love those guys to death. Just great people at the end of the day. There's my boys. There's
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look at that. There we go. Here's a picture live for your boy. Can you see that, AO?
Yep, I even see Caleb there, man. That's my young blood right there.
Look
Love
at that. That's some OGs right there. Oh, wow. Look at that one.
it. Hey, Adam, PSL Open champions right there, dog.
Open champs.
Open champs.
Open champs.
My God, who's this dude playing third
That
base?
goofy.
And look at those pants too. I didn't even plan that, but they had Dirty Girls underneath
man,
the pants.
I appreciate that, boys. I appreciate that. But yeah, man, softball's been good to me. I can't lie. I've met a lot of good people. I appreciate all you guys. All the love that I've gotten. You guys know I give it back as much as I can. I do like to hit middle, so I'm sorry, pitchers. I still got love for you guys.
Shout out to Hillbilly for taking one Sunday.
Who he did, man. That's my boy, man.
Hey, but I'll say though that Austin's one of the few people though that I've met in softball too. And when I first started, obviously, just like anybody else, you don't really understand why you don't hit middle. You don't really understand the concept until you end up coming around enough times. But ever since I've ended up knowing Austin, he's always been the type of person that if he ends up blowing up middle, he's always going to end up taking his lumps and going right back out there to gear or no gear, just to, hey, that's your receipt, so to speak, like you would in wrestling.
Yeah, and a lot of guys know that. So, I mean, one of my favorite guys in softball, I just want to bring his name up real quick. I think you guys either had him on the show or going to have him on the show, Token. That's one of my boys. And as a pitcher, I have shot box on that dude more than anyone else. I got a lot, but I've shot box on him more than anyone else. And that dude has told me numerous times, man, that swing is so good for me to don't cheat myself, man. If I want that hole, go get that hole. And a lot of times I've taken that into consideration no matter who I'm playing, because even with that being one of my good buddies, man, he's telling me, go with your shot. And that's
defend yourself. And that's
here's one thing. One thing about Token is he lives up to his name, all right? He wants all the smoke. Oh, yeah. That's the problem with Token. That is a good problem to have. That old man is still getting it, snapping off whoever comes at him. You know what I mean? Shout out to Token.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Token. We'll be having him on sometime soon for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely here in the future. Well, we only got 10 minutes left, so let's keep pushing here. Let's go to Los Migos turned into Red Eyes.
Okay. I met John Martin the following year. Obviously, I only played I think it was 2 tournaments with Los Amigos. They had split up at the end of the year. A couple guys just quit playing. We still tried bringing it back here recently, but I know they're no longer a team once again. But I love those dudes, man. That year, I decided that once the team broke up, I still wanted to play softball. I got an itch at that point. I met John Martin. I'll tell you a quick story about that. He said he needed a guy on Facebook, and I believe I commented under it. Was back in the day on like Foose's softball page, and I guess I commented under it, but wasn't John Martin's post. I ended up walking onto John Martin's field, and he thought I was somebody else that was filling in, and he needed a guy. And then I argued with him because I was like, why am I at the bottom of the lineup? Dude, I've only played 2 softball games ever, period. Nobody knew me, nothing. I ended up becoming real good friends with that dude, man. Love that dude to death. Great guy, great character.
Shout out John Martin.
That's my dude.
Absolutely. Great dude,
Red
too.
Eyes himself.
Absolutely.
I gave him a couple of my first good years playing this game, and then he actually gave me a great opportunity and kind of walked away and handed me over his team one year. And yeah, I kind of took the coaching reins over at that point. This had been maybe my third year in softball. I took the coaching reins over at that point at the end of the season. And Team Red Eyes went from being a team that was typically middle of the pack to us finishing the year, I think, in 2 second-place finishes and 1 third-place finish. One of them being at the Christopher Columbus tournament up in Columbus, which was like a 40-team tournament. Big shout out to all those guys who believed in me before I even believed in myself, because John was going to fold his team, and a lot of those guys wanted to play for me. A lot of those guys were like, Austin will take it over, just let him run it. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but big shout out to those guys because they believed in me before I did. And then that kind of led to me recreating my own team in the future. So I do appreciate all you guys as well.
Well, you pretty much chopped up my whole fucking interview list. So let me get back a little bit. Let's go to Spartans.
Okay.
Spartans. You cannot leave out. Shout out to Spartans, the
No.
OG boys. You know who we are.
Listen, there was only.
yeah.
I'm telling you right now, from my perspective, and just sitting back and just learning more and more, just because I'm still a newbie, it's
Yeah.
amazing hearing the history of softball. Just I've missed out on a lot, and during that time, there was a portion probably when you first started playing softball after 10 years. I was just graduating high school in 2014, so that's probably similar to the timeline.
So yeah, I've been playing this game for about 7. This will be my 8th year now of playing softball. My fourth, I want to say it was my fourth year playing softball. I left John Martin's team only because I was seeking what we all play for in those rings. I didn't know how the hell you were going to obtain it or anything like that. This is prior to me stepping in and running Red Eyes. So I had played for Red Eyes for a year and then left them, went to Spartans, and then went back and took over a team. But when I was with Spartans, I left John Martin only because that team was so stacked. I knew that if I wanted a chance at getting a ring sooner rather than later, it was with that group of guys, man. Love every one of those guys too. We just didn't ever put it all together on the field. If those guys would have really dialed in collectively, I feel that team wouldn't have broke up as fast as it did. And I think they definitely would have had some hardware, man. We had a lot of good runs. We won a few tournaments, but we never really got that ring that we were all hoping to obtain. So that was kind of a bummer there. But big shout out to Spartans, man. A lot of great guys. I'm hella good athletes. One of my favorite guys was AJ Camella. Dude's over at third base. He's a big boy. Dude's over there laying out, snagging up everything, man. Big shout out to AJ. Definitely an athlete, man, for sure.
Oh yeah, you guys were definitely tough, man. I remember you guys were definitely a powerhouse in E that year. You guys, I thought for sure you guys were going to get one.
We kept being fourth place, third or fourth place, states and worlds, third or fourth place.
It is what it is.
It's good momentum to end up capitalizing on too, if you can, because I mean, it's always, and we've talked about this over and over again. The one thing that I've learned about softball is just that general chemistry, and you just build on it year after year, and that's how you get those successful dynasty softball teams, so to speak.
Yeah, you got to stick together. That's one of the biggest things that I can say. There's a lot of guys who like to jump around. No, not trying to shade on your game at all, but guys who typically stick together are able to put it together a little bit faster than some of those guys who just hop around and try and figure things out, in my opinion, at least. I mean, you can always hop onto a good team, every once in a while, but if you want it to last and have that longevity, you need to have guys who, know what you're doing when, in the middle of the game. Adam pretty much can read me like a book. had we just been together so long, it's just there's something there, and you get that over time. It doesn't just come with that tournaments together. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with you on that too. I think John and I and Adam, we were talking about that last week too. Just that you end up having that chemistry. You know what your infielder, if you're playing infield, what they're thinking. You know them like the back of your hand at all times, and that's the key to softball, honestly, in any sport.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with chemistry. That's definitely a big part of the deal.
It goes a long way.
On and off the field, you know,
Oh yeah.
a band of brothers. um, well, I don't think we should get too. We only got about 3 minutes left with you, Austin, so I don't want to get too much in. We're gonna save the rest of our interview for a part two. How about that?
I'm down. 100%.
Absolutely,
Payton?
and you're welcome at any time too, Austin. It was absolutely fun having you on. I know, obviously, I want Austin, if you don't mind me kind of opening up behind the curtain. It just shows that anybody that wants to be a part of the podcast too, it's just you guys are bullshitting with Adam and I, and that's it. We're just having fun. We're getting to end up expanding the knowledge of softball. Even if it's something out of your realm, we're here to make you comfortable. I mean, that's the point of this. It's just as a conversation amongst us, just like we are in person, but we have the ability to have technology now, and we could end up just telling stories, and that's what that's what's going to end up getting all the younger kids now involved in softball too. Is you hear
Right.
these stories from dads, uncles, brothers, so on and so forth, or else you've just had that softball legacy. Come on at any time and have bullshit about stories about good old softball world because everybody's been there at one point. I've been there as a kid. My
Yep.
stepbrother's been there as a kid. My stepdad played there all the time. There's always that lineage that you have some kind of connection in softball, or we all been in the same area. And it's open to anybody that if you want to end up joining us at some point, hit up Adam or I. We could end up always having you on. And like in Austin's case here, you end up having a part two coming. And any questions? I mean, this is interactive. Any fans that want to end up commenting any questions, any stories that they have with Austin too, maybe you've heard something. And it's one of those funny stories that you don't end up hearing the full story, and it's
I'm an
something
open
that's elaborating on.
You guys know that I'm an open book 100%. I do appreciate you guys having me on today. Um, Again, I'm an open book. So any questions, anything you guys need, anything, the biggest thing I can say is enjoy this game, man, because this game has been it's been real good to me. I've met a lot of good people, a lot of great friends. Adam's one of my best friends. You guys are gonna have my best friend on here in about 30 seconds or so. Actually, my best friend before Jason being my best friend was Hannah. I just want to get that out there. His wife was my best friend first.
Shout out to Hannah.
Shout out to Hannah with the
Get your
moments.
fucking pictures taken by Hannah.
You gotta do it. It's Markland's moments. Get it. But no, I appreciate you boys. Looking forward to another time. And man, thanks for having me.
And Austin, just to give you a heads up too, the first question in this part two, it's gonna be Halloween tournament 2020 when I first met you, and we have a picture together.
Ooh-wee. Hey,
Anybody that's there, you know what's going on.
I'd love to talk about it, man. You guys have a good night. Thanks for having me, boys.
Absolutely,
Later,
brother.
brother.
We'll see you
Later,
soon.
brother.
I love that guy.
Time. Jason ended up wasting no time and wanted to hop in. Welcome everybody. We Like Softball podcast. It's Adam. It's Payton. It's Jason Markland now. We just chatted with Austin. Now we're talking with Jason Markland. Markland, what's going on, man?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good. Just enjoying the day, per usual, and bullshitting about softball per usual.
Y'all see me? I'm sitting outside. It's beautiful out here. I've been waiting for this the whole winter.
Same thing. I'm usually in the back bedroom. I said, I think I'm gonna start off outside today. See where it takes me.
Absolutely.
How have you been, man?
Oh,
God.
man. I've
One of
been
my
working my
favorite
life
people.
away. I've been working my life away, man. I got a new promotion at work, and I've been working 55, 60 hours a week. So,
And speaking of work, just because you mentioned it so early on, and we were already talking about some rings with Austin in the past, I just want to end up throwing this up on the screen too. Speaking of working,
yeah.
nice little collection you have there, if I do say so myself. I have no idea what a ring looks like for being a bowler or a softball player, but obviously I end up having that intention to one day get in there one way or another. Bowling, I at
Absolutely.
least seen one from my stepdad, but that's about all I got.
Awesome's already on here.
I know. He
Who is
he
the
got
best
off before I could call him best man. I don't know what's going on. You guys kicked him off so fast.
man? I was like, all right, your half hour's up. Markland's on.
Yeah, see ya. As long as I get more viewers than he did, I'm all right with it.
Hey, you guys are about tied right now, but that
Oh, boy.
carryover audience.
Well, you got double the time, so I would hope you would take the lead. Let's get a jump start on things because there's God so many questions I can just I don't know if an hour's long enough. Let's go back to high school, brother. Let's hear that story.
Oh, man. So I graduated in 2012 from Ella High School. I was a pitcher, first baseman. That's pretty much all I did. First team All-City, junior, senior year. At one time, I had the lowest ERA in the state, so I don't really throw overhand anymore. My shoulder can't handle it, so I moved on to softball, and now I throw underhand. So
So
Which one do you prefer? I gotta ask that one. Obviously, it's older now. It's probably underhand. But if you
I'd
had to
say,
pick, let's say about 5 years ago, which one would you have?
man, I'd say if I could pump fake in baseball, that would be the best thing in the world. That's some Savannah Banana stuff, man, for real. So
Absolutely.
if I ever went back to throwing overhand, it'd have to be something like that for sure.
that's amazing. Did you start in league or did you just jump in?
Man, so I started in church ball. It was Sunday afternoon after church. Believe it or not, I I played left field. Yep, Markland played
Oh.
left field way back in the day.
Wow.
That was some pounds ago. I was a dumb young softball player, man. Pulled his pants up, knee high socks, whole nine, wearing a t-shirt with press on letters. From church ball, man, it went to Sunday morning church ball to Monday night men's at Waterworks in Akron. And then from there, it just snowballed. One night a week, 2 nights a week, 6 nights a week, and it became like it became a passion real early. So growing up, my parents divorced when I was 7, so my dad taught me this game, like at a very young age, throwing a baseball down a hallway, a little rubber baseball, just trying to break his glove with a rubber baseball. So it started at an early age, man, and I lost my pops a couple years ago now. So every time I step on that field, man, it's for him, for sure.
Yeah, I feel you there. I lost my mom a couple years back, and I feel the same thing. I feel like it's angels in the outfield type of shit. Maybe that's why I'm ignorant and I do all the dumb shit I do. I'm out there with no mask on, dancing and fucking doing dumb shit because when I'm out there, I fucking feel invincible. Invincible. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I just feel this fucking power takes over me, and I feel like it comes from her. I might be fucking crazy. I mean, my name's Crazy Shorts, but this is how I like. Soon as it's fucking game time, and I can drive to Columbus. Take that 3-hour trip. I get there. It's early as fuck. We wake up at 4 in the morning to make the 8 o'clock game.
Yep.
I'm so stiff and I'm hurting. I don't even want to put my turfs on, my cleats on, whatever I'm doing that day. I don't want to put nothing on. I'm like, no energy. But the second my toes touch that dirt or that turf, I just, bam, it's electric. I feel it.
Sure. I'll tell you what, man, the second I step in between them lines, dude, nothing else in the world matters. I mean, I'm out there with my brothers. I'm out there with, whoever I'm with that weekend. And it's me and my sanctuary. That's it. I mean, I could get 110 mile an hour line drive at my forehead and my blood pressure won't go up. Like, it's a sanctuary for real. Nothing else matters, man. Your bills don't matter. Your job don't matter. How much money you got don't matter. None of that shit matters, man. I mean, and then like you go through a hellish work week, and you can't wait till Saturday to step on the field with your boys. I mean, it's a sanctuary for sure.
Yeah.
And to even take it a step further too, I mean that for me personally, whenever it comes to softball, it's always hearing that music. Whenever that speaker starts playing, that's when things just start happening. That's whenever you end up that's setting the vibe for your day. Even if it's music that you're not even a fan of, it's loud music. It's a Thursday morning at Mojo, for example, and you already know the season's underway. You're excited for it. And that was the same way. I want to say, like, that's probably the coolest thing that I found out about playing softball is just everybody has their own reasoning to play. Everybody plays because of a reason, whether it be it's therapeutic, whether it's a mental health thing, whether it's just getting away. I mean, 2020, that was the first time I played actually, like, not even recreationally. I played 5 times a week, 4 times a week, 3 times a week, and I was just playing once a week every now and then and running a team, and that was the worst experience ever. But when you actually don't have to run a team, it's so relaxing. You're sitting at the park beforehand. It's a 60-degree day, 70-degree day, and you just end up seeing your whole entire surroundings. Even, and I'm talking about Oakwood too. This was back when I ended up doing that. Was just sitting around and just seeing my environment and just watching the fields. And I'm like, this is a great day. It's 5 o'clock. Games don't start till 6:30, and that's what everybody has some kind of variation of that too, which makes that sport. It's so unique. It's absolutely awesome.
Oh, for sure. I mean, my team's a little crazy, man. We hit before every tournament. So our 8 a.m. starts are like 6:30 BP type thing, 6:15 BP. So there aren't many people in this world I'm gonna get up at 6:15, 6 o'clock for and go play in the wet grass. You know what I mean? But just being around your boys, man, and just sitting back and kicking it and listening to Britt Williams whistle at 6:20 in the morning, like. You know,
Let the fans and softball world and the people who don't know, who are you with this year?
So this is Tri-City. If any of you guys remember the old Stark Stars, that's pretty much us. We made a couple additions in there, like Marvin Nicely, Weaver's in there now too. Jeff Edwards is my middleman. He's from Stark Elite. So we're Tri-City. I mean, it's old Stark Stars. It's the team that went to sea that never should have broke up, but some egos needed checked and some things needed to fall in place, and now we're back together, man. And it's like all over again. Just we're a family. Like from inning 1, second that music hits, everything just clicked back to right where it was. So.
And that's all you need sometimes. Sometimes you just need a little break, let people just venture off, just it gives you a whole different mind state and just come back a couple years later, a year later, whatever, and it just seems to work again. Just like you said, it's just like it feels like it never should have stopped in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, we all had to grow as players. You know what I mean? It took us to realize that what we had wasn't greener on the other side. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know what I did for 2 years when I left that team, and I didn't get my helmet smacked off every time I made a good play or threw a good pitch or got the last out of the inning. Like, I mean, Britt Williams, dude's like my brother, but he's going to give me CTE by the end of the season, for real. Like, because every time, man, he's so hype, and it keeps me going. Like, game 6, 7th inning, you're up by 2. You're not the home team. Like, you need somebody like that in your dugout that's going to get you in gear, and fortunately I got 15 of them guys. So having that back is unlike anything else, man, for sure.
Oh man. So let's go back to these E days. Throwing shade? Was that the first E for you?
So my first E team was actually Walk-Off Warriors. I only played like 2 or 3 tournaments with them. Joseph Bish, and William Brown, all them guys back in the day, man. And then I only played a couple tournaments with them, and I started to get to know the Throwing Shade guys, Zach DeRosa and Josh Burgone and them guys, and man, they loved that game at the time as much as I did. So it just made sense. I wanted to grow with something and learn the game. And I was still a dumb young softball player. Like, I knew nothing about tournament ball. I was jumping up and down the first time I ever got a tournament jersey. Like, and every jersey day, every year, man, I'm so stoked. I can't wait. So that drive is still there for sure.
Yeah, that was back in the Dirty Dozen days.
Yep.
Oh, the glorious.
Yeah, man, that was 2015, 2016, something like that.
Yeah, you were just like a first-year pitcher, really, like, tournament-wise. And, I remember you were still figuring it out. But, I mean, You didn't take long to click at all.
He's out here doing this type of stuff on the mound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's just one of them, man. I mean, you gotta get over the fact early on that you look like an idiot, right? You're supposed to look like an idiot on the mound. So, I mean, I'm throwing a 8 to 12 mile an hour pitch underhand, and I'm throwing a golf ball to a composite bat, right? Against some of the best hitters in the state. I've played against some of the best guys in the country. So you got to do something to get these guys thinking about anything but their at bat. Sometimes you got to piss them off. Sometimes you get smoked. You know, it happens, but that's just what you got to do. So,
Well, they say half the game is mental, you know. I mean,
Yep.
and it definitely is, because that's half the reason why I do the retarded stuff on that mountain that I do when I'm out there dancing, doing cartwheels, and people want to drill you. They do. They no longer want to hit their gaps. Especially you go behind the back, any between the legs. I don't care. Especially, and I noticed, and from my experience, the more higher you play, the more disrespectful they take that. You know what I mean? The more that you ain't doing that shit on me, and they come immediately right back at you. And I can get away with it playing in E, and you know, when I play my D tournaments or whatever, I can get away with it because I'm not up there with the big boys. But I know for a fact it takes away them at bats. A lot of them, you know what I mean? Just makes guys do what, you know. And if I'm not getting the ball, I'm confident in my backup, my middleman, my shortstop, my second base, whoever's behind me. I'm that confident if that ball gets past me, one of them got it. So it's I'm what's the word I'm looking for? An irritating pitcher can just change the game.
Yeah.
Really true.
Be a clown, man. It's be a clown. I mean, like I said, I've pitched against some of the best guys in the country. This past year, when I was with DeSalt, we got the opportunity to play in the Cincy Major. And for those of you who don't know, the Cincy Major is all the conference teams, right? So your first round, you're going to play a B or a C team. If you win, you're getting one of the top 3 teams in the country, right? So we beat, I forget what their name was. It was an Amish C team. We ended up beating them. Well, guess what? Round 2, we're playing MPT, right? So I'm pitching to Ryan Harvey, John Williams. I'm pitching to JoJo Bennett. Like all these guys they won the Major World Series this year. And I can honestly say the year that they won that, I went toe-to-toe with them, you know, and nothing changed. I pump faked them guys all the same. I covered my helmet. I stuck the ball on top of my head. Like, you know, I don't care who you are. Like, I'm going to pitch to you. And that's what the upper guys in this game look for, man. They look for guys that don't change who they are just because of who they're playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Absolutely. And plus, I mean, that's even a learning experience too when you get to end up playing that higher level of competition no matter what, because if you end up having a good battle with somebody that's playing conference, that confidence your next tournament, I mean, that was probably huge for you guys last year, and that probably was building blocks, so to speak, at some times to look back at.
It was like 3-3 after 2 or something like that, man. And then those guys just unloaded. I mean, we got smoked. Don't get me wrong, but the thing that those guys look for is like, even though they got 15 hits in a row, you know, or something like that, you keep pitching to them guys. You have to. Like, you can't roll over and give up. Like a lot of the lower teams that I see, man, they get down 5, they get down 10. They're done. They're quitting. You can't do that, right? I've won games where we're down 15, come back out that next inning, we're up 11. You know, we put up 26 runs in an inning. Like it happens. It's been done to me. Don't get tournament this year. Shout out to Young Money. Like I got them guys out 80% of the time until the 4th inning, man, and then it just did not stop hitting, right? So it happens. I've been on both sides of that. I've been double dipped for a ring because that team was hot, man. I mean, it is what it is. You can't give up. You just got to keep going.
Sometimes you just have to tip your hat off to the other team. You know, some things, you know, some teams just get lucky too. You know, there's just nothing you can't strategize against. You know, can't strategize on missed hits sometimes that pop in there for loopers, and sometimes teams just upright beat you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
for
that's
sure.
nothing you could do.
Yeah, everybody in this game. Well, I don't want to say everybody, but most of the guys in this game, they can win with class. Everyone can win with class, but when you can get your ass kicked and still tip your cap and have the respect of the guys across from you, man, that speaks volumes to not only the player you are, but the example you want to set for the lower divisions of the game, right? Like, locally, a lot of guys like, oh, I can't wait to have Markland come pitch for me, blah blah blah. It's like, dude, I got news for you. I have bad days too. I have days I can't throw a strike to save my life, but you got to keep pushing, man. You got to, and if you get pulled off the mound, like Todd Blackman, shout out to Todd. Love that dude. I mean, if Todd's going on the mound and I get pulled, you gotta have the exact same enthusiasm for him as you did for yourself, right? That's important. So,
Yeah, I mean, you're dead on. Dead on. I agree. All right, so let's go back. So let's go from E to D. That's when you went from Shade to Bears, right?
that was E to C.
E to C. E to C. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. I played a year at D too, but it was after the fact. So TJ Luck, shout out to TJ. It's my brother, man. He invited me to indoor with the Bears. I don't remember if Lonnie was hurt at the time or he didn't show up to indoor or something, but they invited me out. And I don't know if any you guys know Biscuit. He's the pitcher for MPT.
Mm-hmm.
First night with the Bears, Biscuit broke my shin guard with a hot dot in indoor, right? So I stayed in there and kept pitching, I just like I always have. And after that tournament, TJ called me the next day. He said, "Hey man, we're gonna give you a shot if you want to come play C." And I was with the Bears for 2 years, man. Took fourth in Panama Worlds with them down in Florida. A couple other tournament wins, but yeah, man, I played with the Bears. I went right from E to C in 10 months, 11 months.
Wow. And to even something that just came to mind too, Jason, just because you ended up mentioning it early on, and I don't want to end up skipping over it. You ended up saying you ended up still get that exhilaration of excitement almost when you end up having that uniform for the year. And obviously, once you end up playing the game enough times, there's some people that have played the game and played rec softball before and haven't even had a legitimate jersey. You usually get the T-shirt jersey or something. But now, I mean, we've all been around enough now that you end up having so many jerseys, so much that you almost want to get rid of them. But like, what would be your favorite jersey, or like, which one's the most heartfelt jersey that you have in your closet that has a lot of meaning behind it whenever you're wearing it, even if it's not something you still wear to this day?
So I would say my favorite jersey is probably my Stark Stars jersey, my first one. We're at WSL Nationals. My number's been 18 pretty much my whole life. Even through the Bears, it was 18. When I went to the Stars for the first tournament, I was late in the year. They gave me whatever jersey they had. Well, that was the first time I ever put 33 on my back. And I ended up winning a ring that night. So I would say our first Stark Stars jerseys that I ever put on was definitely my favorite jersey, because that's what set the tempo for the next 5. You know what I mean? So you can pull the Tom Brady line that your favorite ring's the next one, your favorite jersey's the next one. But man, that first one, that first ring and that first jersey, first time I ever put on 33, and I've worn it every day since. Every day. So
and sometimes that's just that superstition in sports too. You end up having one thing happen and that changes the course for everything.
yeah, it wasn't only that. It was 18. I thought I knew who I was. I thought I knew what this game was. You know what I mean? And then I got that adrenaline rush of the first time actually winning a ring or winning a tournament or anything like that big. And I've been chasing that ever since. So just to have a symbolic piece still in my closet of what that meant to me at that time in my life, no, I don't think anything's going to beat it. So, and shout out to Britt Williams and Brad Williams for giving me that opportunity, man, because there's a lot of guys in this game that have helped me along the way. But those two along with TJ and the Bears. I mean, guys continue to give me shots, right? And the harder you work, the nicer of a guy you are, the more outgoing you are. Like, I seen a comment earlier. I was watching before I came on. I was creeping. Sorry, guys.
All good.
But somebody said, "What is your definition of great?" Right?
Yep.
My definition of great is being approachable, playing at the highest level I can compete at, and still being approachable. Right? If a rec league pitcher walks up to me and says, "Hey, can you help me with this? Can you work on this?" Like, that to me is being great. That I will still, no matter how high I play this game, no how many rings I got, MVPs I got, anything like that, I will always still be that guy that wants to help somebody else. That's my definition of being great. All right.
And to even take it a step further, I could attest to that too, because one of the first times that I ended up going to the batting cages, I teased it last week. You were one of the first people that ended up helping me out with my swing, and it's still not complete yet, but it was the pointers to end up adjusting with some guy that was just a stranger at the time. And it was just a buddy of Austin's that I knew. And I mean, we still ended up bullshitting. I saw you down at Mojo, and we picked up just like it was however long ago. And that's just the approachable type of guy you are. And every younger player that wants to get advice to learn, that's exactly what you want in the game from the higher players, the conference players, your C players, your D players, so on and so forth. Even E players for some of those rec guys, even to include them.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, that's what's most important to me in this game, man. Is the rings are great, the jerseys are cool, the time with your friends, man. But leaving an impact on the game is what matters to me. A positive impact, right? Like, I don't. The last thing I want is anybody to walk by me and be like, "Markland's an asshole," right? Like, I don't. That I take that to heart for real. Like, I want to be the approachable guy, the nice guy that you can ask anybody that's ever shot middle on me. Like, I'll turn around second base, say, "Hey, dude, good hit. You smoked that one." Like, you know what I mean? Nate Yoder from Young Money. First time that dude ever shot middle on me. I could have been an asshole. I could have been, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" Blah blah blah. I turned around, said, "Nice hit." Me and that dude been friends ever since. You know what I mean? Michigan guys, PSL Worlds, Derek Aldridge, Nico Hurd, them guys, man, hit two of the hardest balls I've ever had hit at me in my life. I think I sent you videos of those. I told him, "Good hit, good game." You know what I mean? Like, don't be the asshole in this game that thinks you're better than everybody else. Like, that's not cool. That's not being great. Like, you can be a good ball player, but if you're a good ball player, it's a jerk, you're not great, dude. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, we're having video difficulties. That's all our fault on our end. We're still learning, but we'll get that fixed out soon. And yeah, that goes back to giving credit to when credit's due. Sometimes, just tip your hat off.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with you guys fully there. You kind of nitpicked part of my interview list there, going back on the Stars. You pretty much gave us the rundown, but you went from Bears to the Stars. So that means the Big D was next.
Yeah. Played D with Stark Stars, man. We had a good year. We won One Nation's first national tournament. There was, I want to say, between 55 and 65 teams in that. We ended up taking that one home, so that was good. And then right after that, some off the field things happened, and we kind of went our separate ways for a little bit. And we decided to come back that year for one last tournament, which was Myrtle Beach Worlds. And we lost in the King Seat game and ended up taking third. So I've been to Myrtle several times. I've never gotten above third place in Myrtle. So that kind of still haunts me. You know what I mean? But yeah, Stark Stars, man. It was a great time. That was probably the most competitive softball I played at that time. Even in C, C back then was kind of like you played the same teams over and over and over again. It's nice to see U-Trip and One Nation start to build their C programs. I mean, C's an open book, man. I mean, it's anybody's game any weekend, and that's the way it should be, right? If you're 800 on the season and you're blowing everybody out, you should probably be in the next division, right?
Yep,
so,
absolutely. Yep.
It's it's tough, dude. But C's an open book, and Stark Stars was one of the paths to get to the competitive side of that. So
Yeah, and that the whole ranking system to me is still it's still in the works. It needs to be in the works because, for instance, you win a ring, you get bumped, you're stuck with this bump, right? You could be 30 years old, 18 years old, 50 years old. That bump stays with you for a long time.
for sure.
And I don't necessarily agree with it. I feel the ranking system should almost be as what you're competing at currently. What's your level of play? Not what you've done. What's your level of play currently? You know what I mean? Because some of these, like, even older guys, they're stuck being C chips when, not saying they're not, but necessarily they probably could be E. You know what I mean? They're not fucking playing outfield like they used to 20 plus years ago. You know, they're not. Half of them are, scared to pitch. You know what I mean? It's just they're not running triples barely. You know what I mean? Not taking away anything from any older guys or anything, but I'm just saying.
No, I get it. Perfect,
you know,
perfect example of that, man, is Junie from East Holmes, Amish team. Junie, he's a B U-Trip player now. Like, he got bumped this year, and Junie is not. He's just not a B player. Like, he called me the other day. He's like, because me and Junie talk, and he's like, Jay, like, I'm not a B player. You know that. Like, they bumped me, but I'm stuck here, blah, blah, blah. So now Junie's searching for a U-Trip team that wants to take him as a B player on a C team. Like, and it's just tough, man. I mean, managing the ranking system anyway is a nightmare in itself, because, like, we see it locally, but, like, on a national level, I think it's hard to keep an eye on everything, right? You got some out-of-state directors that just want to make a name for themselves. Like, there was a B team that tried to sneak their way into Myrtle Beach D Nationals or Spring National, whatever the hell it was, like a month ago.
Oh yeah.
Right? And that director was gonna allow that to happen. Like, if it wasn't for people bringing it up, I don't know exactly who, but bringing it up and say, hey, like, do your research. These are B U-Trip players trying to play D One Nation, right? So it's a lot to manage, man. And I think it's tough, but I think on a national level, instead of relying on the state directors, I think there needs to be like a national database and literally laws. Like, sure, there's laws and bylaws, right? But how many hoops are these state directors out of state jumping through just to make a name for themselves? So,
Oh
Yeah,
man, Markland, you're just getting roasted as this episode goes on. You see all these guys. You see Marcus. You see Chad on here. Oh my Lord, have mercy. Are you reading this as you're going?
yeah, I'm reading Chad's comment right now. Chad's my boy, though. That's my brother. That's my brother, man. There aren't many like Chad.
Yeah, I fuck with Chad. That's my boy. So speaking of, then Stark Stars. Is that when you traveled over to Dassault? When did the Dassault? Let's go to that.
Stark Stars broke up essentially after Myrtle Beach Worlds. We took third.
What year was this? What year are we in at this time we're talking?
See, I played for Dassault for the past 2 years. So
okay, that's what I was thinking.
What, 2020 maybe, something like that. Sure, whatever.
This was prior COVID.
Yeah. So it was somewhere around there, man. But Stark Stars broke up, and you guys know me. Like, if we shit the bed in the tournament, I'm gonna go hang out with my buddies. I'm gonna go see what's up in your dugouts, blah blah blah. Unless it's Worlds, I don't stay out of your dugout, I promise, because it's disrespectful. But like some backyard tournament, I'm gonna come say what's up, you know. And Dassault was always there; they were always playing. So I'd watch them guys, you know. I'd get to know them, and it was to the point where, like, I knew Stars was coming to an end at that point, so I almost started to early on look for what's next. You know what I mean? And actually, I tried to go to Dassault before Stark Stars. There's a little niche for you. But Matt, the coach, was a week from going to Vegas, and if anybody knows Matt, man, he he doesn't make plans for next year until after the last tournament. Like he takes a little 2-3 week hiatus. Don't talk to me. Don't text me. I don't even know who you are. Then we'll focus on next year, right? Well, me
Little
being the
Aaron
young,
Rodgers, so to speak, with the darkness.
yeah. Well, me being the young player I was, I ain't waiting on you, dude. There's teams that want me to come play for them. So, but after Stars broke up, I went to Dassault, man, and we had a great first year. The second year was tough due to injuries and guys missing to family stuff or whatever, man. And but we won PSL Worlds. That was the most loaded tournament probably I've ever won. It was one of the early years of PSL, so everyone was sandbagging their life away. You know,
That was the same weekend that we won the co-ed, right?
might have been. Yeah, might have been. Yep.
Yeah,
I
what?
think so.
Yeah,
I think
I
so.
remember because we were watching your shit. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was cold as fuck. Oh God, it was cold as fuck. What a nightmare!
So those
You really
two
had to earn
videos.
those rigs that day. It fucking sucked, man. The
Those-
weather was good. It was snowing, blizzard, wind was terrible. God.
Those two videos I sent you that we're having complications with, those two snap offs I had, that was literally that night. Right.
Okay.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
yeah, it was Nico heard, man, the game changer rule, right? So that video that I sent you guys of snapping him off, I posted that on his birthday. Well, he posts his next swing on my birthday of the game changer when he hit it on the highway. So it's a little game me and him play, but yeah, man. We ended up winning that night with Yabo. So shout out to them guys, man. It was awesome.
So maybe I should have started this interview like this. Left-handed pitching. I mean, whatever. I mean, do you got the advantage, or what's going on here? What in your opinion? Not everyone else's. I'm gonna go. What is Jason Markland's opinion on his left-handed pitching?
I'm not really traditional when it comes to the way I throw. I flick the ball over home plate more than I do throw it. A lot of guys throw from the shoulder. Mostly mine's elbow and wrist. Gives me a little more action, I think, on my knuckleball. And it's hard to pick up, man. I mean, next thing you know, it's on you. So I tell everybody that if you're a left-handed home run hitter, you got problems with me. Like, good luck, because like a lot of these guys are used to the same arm slot, the same angle. A lot of young pitchers, they throw to the whole plate, right? The higher you go, the smaller your plate can get. Anything over the plate's going to get murdered. You know, you got to plant your corners. You got to throw from different angles. You got to and stuff like that. So being a lefty, I'm already throwing from a different angle than 90% of these guys see on a regular basis, right? I'm left-handed. I bat right. I struggle with lefties. Why? I don't know. I know exactly what it's going to do. I watch it every time I throw. Still, right? Still, it's still a problem. You know what I mean? So, Marcus, you ain't never hit a bomb off me. Stop it. Jesus, he might have once. I'll give him one. But Marcus is my boy. But being a left-handed pitcher, man, it is different. Actually, at the Cincy Major, I had the privilege of Smash It Sports was playing right after we played. And Jonas, who was the pitcher at the time for Smash It Sports, he watched me pitch that whole game. And afterwards, he gave me some compliments, gave me some pointers. And that dude literally took me out to the mound and said, hey, let's work on this. Let's work on something, right? So that's that definition, again, of being great. Is like, that dude is one of the best pitchers in the country. I'm a little peon C pitcher to this guy. And he pulls me out after the game and says, hey, man, great job. You did well. Way to hang in there. Let's work on something. Let's try this. You know, let me see your philosophy, stuff like that. So, but everything's backwards because I'm left-handed, which it makes it tough, man. It really does.
Comment of the fucking man. Comment of the hour right there. Jesus Christ, Plum. Oh my Lord. I wasn't ready.
Gotta
God,
Just a
love him.
different spin
really,
for certain people, I guess, right?
I forgot my train of thought. What? I
If
was
he
not
gets
ready for that comment.
if he gets prosthetics, is that considered cheating?
Robot
Oh
fingers?
man.
Can, can it control the curve? Dubs tournaments and accurate on that shit field. He's calling out a shot now too, so he really got it.
That's fine. Must have been the short porch.
Pictures or it didn't happen.
Love you too, Marcus.
Oh God, what was I gonna say now? Because Plum threw me off hard right there. Okay,
You just can't get your finger on the thought.
so being a pitcher, oh God, as frustrating as it is to me, the umpire strike zone. Yeah, how it changes. Yeah, okay. So how many? Well, it's 7. So we got like 20 something minutes here. We got height. We got no arc. We got. Well, Let's hear your version of your umpire. What we got going on here the past couple
So,
years?
recently last year I started umping myself, right?
Been there, done that. Hated it.
Right. So I take pride in everything I do. So I try and call the strike zone I would want as a hitter. So it might be a little tight, but you have a new respect for umpires, man. I think it's a different part of the game. And shout out to guys like Todd Pittman, Todd Blackman, guys like that really helped me along the way. But as a pitcher standpoint, man, you argue the strike zone, you're already at a negative, right?
Yep.
Like every umpire in One Nation, I swear to God, any umpire that knows me in One Nation, ask them what I do when I think they missed the call. Just ask them. I smile at them. That's all I do. Through my helmet, I'm smiling at you because in my eyes, you screwed up, right? But I'm not gonna mf you, come at you. In between innings, I come ask you a question. Hey, where is this missing? Is it breaking early? What? Even before, right? I'll show up to a game 20 minutes early, the game before we play. I'm sitting behind, especially if it's the same umpire and I'm watching a strike zone,
Yep.
right? If it's 95 degrees out, I'm going to my cooler. Hey, how you doing, man? You doing all right? You need a bottle of water? You need a snack? You good? Right? I'm building a relationship with that guy already before my game even starts. So are my corners maybe going to be a little bigger if I'm not screaming and yelling at him? Sure. Right? But you have to adjust to him at the end of the day. He's not going to change for you. You piss him off, it is what it is. Like, you're not getting shit. I've had it, right? So I learned that pretty early on that make the umpire your acquaintance. Like, as a pitcher, that's your best friend. That's the guy that's giving you your calls, giving you your corners. Always treat him with respect. The strike zone and One Nation sometimes a little wonky, right? Jesus Christ, Chad. Um, but it is, man. It's a little wonky sometimes. Some guys like it deeper, some guys like it flat. But what you don't realize as an umpire is, like, say you call a deep strike, right? Third inning, you call it deep. Now everybody in the field, they might be pissed, but now they think that's a strike. So, like, your strike zone throughout the game is progressive. Your strike zone in the first inning isn't going to be the same as it is in the seventh. Nobody's perfect, right? So a lot of good umpires told me, like, hey, if you're seeing it flat as a strike, you have to stay there, right? Like, so my judge as an umpire and even as a pitcher, it has to get to my shoulder. It's that simple. Anything under my shoulder, because it's 5 from the ground to 10 feet high. If it doesn't get to my shoulder, not a strike. You know what I mean? If he calls it a strike, then you adjust. Maybe you drop it down to your chest, or you find gauges like that of what he's calling. But it is a little wonky sometimes.
So let me
But
even go a step further with that then too, because I ended up having this was at Strongsville for just rec softball on a Tuesday night, and I remember that the zone for whatever the umpire we had at the time, I don't remember who it was, but we were actually asking good questions on what the zone was because, like you said, it fluctuated a little bit throughout the night. And at Strongsville, you have the different sets of bars, and then you have the overhang that's behind the backstop as well. And he was saying usually at 10 feet, it's that second bar that's where that break is, where that overhead awning is almost at above home plate. Is that usually like a fair assessment, or is that, especially with you being around umpiring now and having that experience, is that something that you would use as a gauge as well? And like even with that example, how are you seeing that from the pitcher's mound when you know what's above you, but at the same time you're looking at it from a different angle? Like there's so many questions about the zone though too, what Adam was kind of going with too. Honestly, I think.
Well, a lot of. I would honestly say a one nation strike zone is probably 4 to 8, 4 to 9. I don't really. And the thing is too is if you throw a 10-foot pitch, you better drop that right behind the plate. Like I mean, right behind the plate. Like it's almost Pat Coleman from DeSalt. Shout out to him. He was my catcher, and he taught me three zone system. Right, like 5 to 6 feet is zone one. You kind of get a little deeper behind the plate. 7 to 8 feet, 7 to 8.5 feet, it's got to be a little closer. 8.5 to 10 feet, you have to plant that corner. Like it has to be right behind the plate. So that's kind of a good zone if the umpire works with you on that, right? Like pit or bounce, or even like Joe Bosiak has a great strike zone, I think, right? It's tight. It's a hitter strike zone. Don't get me wrong, but you have to adjust to it, right? So not every umpire strike zone is consistent or the same, right?
Right. And that's all I'm looking for is consistent. And I don't care if it's good consistent or it's bad consistent. But I just want it consistent and equal to both sides. Whether it's right for, if you're going to call a deep one for one side, make sure you call that deep one for the other side too, not just one-sided. Same thing. If you're going to give one pitcher the flat, then you better respect other side's flat pitch too. I'm also seeing a lot of weird shit like balls hitting, and this is for every division, not just in E, not just in D, not just in C. I'm seeing many different coaches and managers and people, players, whatever, fans, spectators, like balls are hitting the plate and being called strikes, not the rubber, dead on plates and shit. Like I just, like I said, if just be consistent if it's right or wrong, and if it's wrong, go wrong for both ways, not just one. Be the same for both teams.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And dude, I'll tell you, man, like obviously hitting the plate, that's no shit, right? Not a strike. But dude, sometimes umpire misses one call and everybody freaks out on him. Now he's defensive. Now he gets pissed off, right? This guy's been out here since 8 a.m. It's now 6 p.m. It's 97 fucking degrees outside. All right? Like you go out there for 8-9 hours, no breaks. Because sometimes umpires don't have breaks, man. Right?
Well,
they're doing 12. They're doing 12 games straight, so it's tough. But I understand where you're coming from for sure.
And it's also a business aspect, though. Besides softball, you have to look at it like that. They're getting paid, so people it's getting taken out of players' money, teams' money, and they're getting paid. So at some point, it's just like Now I'm not even speaking for myself. I'm speaking from everyone, from things I see on Facebook and all the groups and all the just for talking in person and just seeing it. It's just at one point people are just gonna be fed up. I get no umpire is going to be perfect, and I know from umping, I hate it. You just get yelled at the whole time. You know what I mean? You can't make everyone happy. Yeah. So I get it, but like I said, if at least man up to it and say, hey, I'm not asking for you to make the next call my team's call. I just want to hear you say, hey, when we take the field, I like to get that respect from the umpire. Like, hey, man, my bad. I thought it was. I called it. It wasn't. When I actually think about it, I replayed it in my head. My bad. I owe you one. And that just makes me feel good. Like, all right, you weren't just being a dick. Because sometimes I feel like that. Like, all right, it's cold. I just want to hurry up and get out of here. So I'm just going to call whatever just to get this game done. You know what I mean? And that's how cool it is. Like, at that point, You're not just stealing the money. You're stealing the equal right to win as a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the big thing that I've seen too is like, say your pitcher's struggling, right? Say I just threw 12 balls in a row. For the love of God, don't call a strike just to help me out, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Let the game play out the way it's supposed to. And I understand the whole get the game moving, time limit thing, blah blah blah, but let the game play out the way it's supposed to play out, right? Like we're seeing that in Major League Baseball right now. Like let the game play the way it's supposed to be played, right? So it's a double edged sword because teams want to argue the strike zone and argue outs and everything else, and then they want to bitch about time limit. It's like
Yep.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. If you shut the hell up, we would have been playing by now. You know
Right.
what I mean?
The
Like
excessive timeouts in the box for guys, and
Right.
like that's.
shout out to St. Clair.
I just see like.
You wouldn't pass an MLB's edition of the pitch clock. You'd end up having a couple penalties on them if we were playing MLB rules for softball, without a doubt.
No, yeah, for sure. It's tough, man. I mean, honestly, the people in this game that get screwed the most umpire wise is the women's side, for real. The women get the bottom of the barrel sometimes when it comes to umpiring games and field selections and stuff like that. Like there are a lot of good girl softball players in this game. Like Public Enemy, shout out to them. Angry Beavers, them girls tear it up. The Outcasts, them girls tear it up. Right, like me being friends with Bader and Jeremy and Hannah, shout out to MM Moments, and taking their pictures all the time. I'm watching more women's softball than I've ever watched in my life. Right, like I seen one Mojo game. I forget exactly who was playing. It was two teams I didn't know. Umpire just didn't want to be there. Didn't move out from behind the plate. Blah blah blah. Like me being at the C level or the upper level, right? At least on a large scale, like they have B and open and stuff like that. But C, we're still getting 40 plus teams. They're putting most of their season best umpires on our field, right? So, and then it just trickles down. And then E gets some decent umpires, you know, it's probably 60, 40, 70, 30, whatever. Sometimes these women, man, they get screwed, dude. And it's terrible. Like not even knowing the rules screwed. So, but on the flip side, a lot of these guys don't want to umpire. You know what I mean?
And you
Like,
get yelled at all the time too. Could go a step further. You end up getting bitched at for making the wrong call, and that's where I feel for umpires at. Just because there, no matter what side, you have an enemy either way. If you make one blown call, and it's something that you could end up apologizing for afterwards, which obviously mend the hatchet, bury the hatchet for the time being, but also the next blown call, that team might have a couple hot heads. You might have a disagreement. That guy on the team might not even like that umpire and just want to stir the pot, and that's what that umpire has to go through. And yeah, they do get paid, but they don't get paid average salary like they just worked a day at work. I mean, they worked a 9 to 5 to end up going to wherever park afterwards to go there, and that's why you have the argument all the time. Well, if you don't like the calls, why don't you become an umpire? And I mean, I'm not doing that. That's too much drama. That's too much stress. Then by the time if I were to go there, even though I mean obviously you're making a difference, put your money where your mouth is, but you deal with a lot of shit.
sure. Well, again, man, guys like Todd Pittman, he told me one time, he said, "You want better umpires, umpire. Go out there and do it." You know what I mean? Like, be the umpire you want, right? Because dude, some of these guys, man, they work 50 hours that week. Guess what? They got 16 games this weekend between Saturday and Sunday, right? So, like you said, they're not doing this for a living. Some of them are. You know, you make good money umpiring. Don't get me wrong. You do make good money. But it's you do it because you still love the game, right? A lot of these umpires do love this game. They really do. And the way it's been explained to me is the best umpires are ex-players. Period. Right? So
They've always
you
been
just
around the game for like 40 years too. On top of it, I know we had somebody at Mojo that played. He's been around, I think, 50 years. I wish I got his name, but I don't remember what it was. But he ended up being around for 50 years, played for 20 years, and has been umpiring 30, and he's like 70 something now, and he's still around the game because that's what he loves. And that's what you want for the game of softball as well too. Is you don't want to have an umpire or a player that's playing that doesn't want to be there because A, why are you there? B, why are you going to end up trying to impact anybody else in the game to end up wanting to play? You have no interest to be there to begin with.
Right. Well, you guys have what, Terry on next week or something?
Yep.
Terry Sherrill?
Yep.
Dude, Terry's been around the game as long as most umpires, right? Like that dude, and he loves this game. And I love that Terry loves this game. I love it when Terry shows up to the field and he's like, "Hey Jay, you're the best pitcher in the park today, right?" Because he always knows my answer. But like he is so enthusiastic and loves this game that he wants to call a perfect game just as much as I want to pitch a perfect game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it takes more guys like that. And I think there are a lot of guys in this game that do love that shit, right? But there's some guys, unfortunately, that are here for money, right? I'm not even gonna cut the board. They're here for a paycheck. They want the money. They want a 55-minute time limit. Blah blah blah. The guys that played this game or truly love this game, they're gonna give you that extra inning. You know, they're gonna give you that extra 3 steps and 95-degree heat to make the right call. You know, so
to even go a step further too, a great situation that I ended up encountering early on in softball, and that might be one of the reasons why I still keep on going back to play, is with one of the Oakwood leagues, we ended up having our doubleheader, and it was actually against Austin too. Even though he ended up joining us earlier, I held off and I didn't mention it. But it was against Austin's team that he played for that weekend, and we ended up seeing if the other team wanted to play for money. Okay, let's have some fun. We already played 2. Let's play for money, $10 each. Team splits the pot.
That was with Jose. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Jose.
Yep, that was with Jose Rivera back when he was around, and that was the most fun too because I think we might have had AJ as umpire, AJ Johnson, or else Big Show. And either way, I mean, that was the park too. Like you said, the snacks, the water. I'd offer them a couple adult beverages here and there. Hey, you want something? You thirsty? I got you. I'll give you one every single time you see me, just because I had fun doing it. That was just a more personable route. And like I also had the same approach ever since playing baseball, Jason, that it was always just be nice to that dude because he's going to impact your game. Whether or not you're in the field or not either, and you have a field umpire, he's going to impact your mood. He's going to impact your game. So why not treat him with respect and give him a little bit of sugar instead of salt?
yeah, for sure. Even going back to high school, man, my high school coach drilled that into our heads. Coach Sarver, you will respect the umpire, period. Like even bad call, he respected the umpire. He'd get in his shit, right, when it needed it, but it was in a respectful way. Like he's not out there screaming and yelling. Like you got to do it in a respectful way, right? Like that guy's a human too. He's got a family too. He's got people who care about him too. So, plus, I don't need you running from the outfield screaming at me. Like, you know what I mean? I'll put you in the car. It's that simple. So.
And I'm not sure what's better than late night cash games in Lorraine, to be honest. Just the sound of that. Sound that out. Late night cash games in Lorraine. Whew, spicy night already.
And you had the trash talking on top of it too. You had fun.
Yeah.
Everybody knew each other, and like it got really intense because money was on the line. But like there was no time limit that night. There was no mercy rule. I think we were up at one point like 15 runs, and we had however many homers. So obviously, if you end up blowing one out of the park, everybody's getting loud. Everybody, even though games are done for tonight, for the most part for league, you're being heard from around the city of Lorraine just because you're crazy enjoying time with your friends and you're getting heated because you're losing. You don't want to lose money. You paid for money to play in that league that night, so you ended up losing a little bit more. But that was all in fun. I mean, that was probably my first softball memory that I had that keeps me coming back just because it is that fun. And you get that aspect in some leagues or some tournaments, depending on what type of tournaments you're playing at, fundraiser tournaments, so on and so forth.
Right. Yeah, man. It sounds like some BSE stuff for real. Because them dudes bet on them games for sure. For sure. But nah, man, that's awesome. I haven't been a part of that yet, so shoot that invite. I'll come pitch for that. Just saying.
Let's take it back to the umpire thing. Yeah, with Mr. Right there. That's probably one of my favorite guys. Just period. I mean, he makes softball great again. I mean, He honestly does. MSGA to the fullest. That dude is just always full of energy. He just brings life. It's just he wants to be there. He's not forced to be there. He can go do anything he wants to, and he chooses to be at them fields. And it's just every time it's an honor to be around him. I
100%.
cannot wait to have him on next week's episode. Oh my God, he's gonna bring so much energy to that episode. I'm looking so forward to it. My questions, his answers. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of viewers for that one. I'm looking real forward to that.
Yeah, Terry's awesome, man. I love that dude. First time he ever did the right there, dude. I took my helmet off and I was like, "What the hell was that?" Right? Because it's a shock factor. It's like I feel bad for the dude in the box because he just showed his ass up.
Just do what I think he did.
Yeah, dude, it was hilarious. Terry's a great dude, man. I'm so excited every time I step on a field and that dude's behind the plate for sure.
Yeah, I had
During Mojo weekend, I got to meet him for the first time, and I actually had him. It was John was playing in the Open tournament before we ended up playing our Constellation game, and that was the game beforehand. So we had two guests on the field at the same time. We had John hitting, playing the defensive side, and you had Terry on the other side in the field. And that was the first time I met him. And the way I ended up knowing it was him is literally just his energy alone from seeing his Facebook Live video going into Mojo, talking about, hey, I'm down at Mojo, blah, blah, blah. And then you ended up getting the thing that got me was the ready to rumble quote that he ended up having before the game. And I'm like, you got my interest. You have my investment. What's up?
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, we do this to win, right? But we do this to have fun. We do this as a stress relief. So when you got somebody like that is as an authority figure in the game, having just as much fun as you are, dude, it makes it all the better. Like no one wants to walk up to the field and see an umpire sitting on his cooler, looking depressed, sad that he's got to ump that game. Like no, like that's why I'm interactive with the umpires. Like if you ever watch me play or watch my team play, I'm messing with the umpire all game in a joking way, right? I'm not getting serious with him. I want him to be a part of this too, because at the end of the day, if he's having a good time, we're having a good time, right? If he's all pissed off and angry and makes a bad call, now we're all pissed off and angry, right? And then that takes us out of our game. We don't play the game the way it's supposed to be played. So make softball great again, man. Play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Have fun with each other. We do this as a stress release. Ain't like guys, 98% of the guys in this game don't get paid to play it. Right? We do it to have fun. You know, and of those 98, like I'd say 1% play or pay to play this game. You know what I mean? They're paying out of their pocket every weekend for a tournament fee or paying for this or, you know, we go out there to have fun, man. Be with our buddies, be with our family, be with our friends. So if you can include your umpire into having that energy, dude, it makes the game all the better.
Absolutely.
Well, I think on that note, Jason, obviously, we're going to end up having a part 2 at some point, too. If you're interested in coming back, we'd love to have you back.
Let me know, man. I'm down for sure.
Absolutely. We'll end up continuing this on next time into the future. Until then, though, the We Like Softball podcast, the podcast format will be released tomorrow morning, Wednesday, 8 a.m., Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anything you could think of, it has it on the podcast platform. So anywhere you could find it, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, 6:30 to 8 next week, we got Terry Sherrill on. And Markland, before we end up having you go, I want to end up giving a shout out too to Hannah. I want you to end up giving an opportunity to plug her and plug yourself too.
Oh man, shout out to my wife, Moments. All your picture needs, man. She does a great job. She cannot wait to pet your dog. I'll tell you that right now. She loves taking pictures of the dog more than she does taking pictures of me. So, yeah, man, shout out to her, Booker. She does a lot of great causes, a lot of benefits. She gives away gift certificates for raffles and stuff like that, man. She really just enjoys what she does. So, it's awesome that she found her passion through my passion, right? Which is great because now she's excited sometimes to get up at 6:30 in the morning and drive to Columbus. You know what I mean? Because she's got people that want to see her. Like back in the day, it was, "Hey Hannah, where's Jason?" Right now, it's like, "Hey Jason, where's your wife at?" Like
Priorities have changed,
the
my
tables
friend.
have completely turned, man, and that's great for her, dude. I love it. I love that people know her just as well as they know me. Like that's important because, like I said, to be great in this game, dude, you got to be approachable. You got to be a nice guy. Like just guide the next guy up. You know what I mean? Go, hey, you can tell me to screw off if you want to, but go home and try this. Work on this. Hey, shoot me a Facebook message. I'll split a cage with you at DBAT all winter long. Let's go work on something. You know what I mean? That's so. And she does that with photography too, man. She really loves it, and she loves seeing your guys' profile pictures, dude. It makes her whole week. So
No, we love the pictures. Shout out to her. Shout out to all the viewers. Definitely, everyone that's commented and asked questions, just said anything. We appreciate it. We do it for you. Continue to follow us. We're also going to be starting a tournament. We're also going to be starting. Me and Payton are going to be starting a tournament prediction points. Like every big tournament, we're going to be starting trying to do a placement on like top 3 teams and starting a little. We're not sure what the ante is yet. Everything's still in discussions, just like the videos. But make sure to tune in on that and all the future episodes.
Absolutely. And guys, we'll see you next week, 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Tuesday, podcast release tomorrow, Wednesday, 8 a.m. Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the weather. Play some softball this week and have a great week, guys.
Peace.
later, boys.